Night. The room is dark except for the blue glow of a phone screen. A thumb scrolls. Down. Refresh. Down again. The paycheck hit yesterday. A clean deposit. No red numbers. No warnings. The balance isn't scary, but it isn't calming either. It just sits there, quiet, conditional. This was supposed to feel different. $100,000 a year. 6 figures. The number people talk about like a finish line. The salary that means you're finally safe. This used to mean, I made it. Now it means, I hope nothing goes wrong. Because if the car makes a new sound, this month tightens. If rent jumps at renewal, the math bends. If a medical bill lands wrong, the buffer disappears instantly. So you lie there doing the math, your brain never turns off, counting days until the next check, replaying expenses you already paid, mentally rehearsing problems that haven't happened yet. You didn't blow it on nonsense. You didn't gamble. You didn't quit working. You followed the script. Degree, job, promotions, responsibility, health insurance, retirement match, adult decisions, and still, there's tension in your chest when you think too far ahead, because comfort only exists if life behaves, if nothing breaks, if nobody needs help, if you don't make a mistake. 6 figures doesn't feel like freedom anymore. It feels like balance, precarious balance, enough to stand still, not enough to lean. You close the app, but the number stays with you, hovering, watching, a reminder that success can look solid and still feel thin. And somewhere between another refresh and another sigh, a thought slips in and won't leave. You did everything right. You reached the salary everyone says is enough. So why does it still feel this fragile? The myth, $100,000 equals stability. The idea didn't come from nowhere. It was planted carefully decades ago. In the late 90s, early 2000s, $100,000 meant something specific. It meant a house that fit a family, a car that started every morning, vacations that didn't go on a credit card, savings that grew quietly in the background. Back then, the number worked. A $100,000 salary could absorb mistakes. A roof leak didn't threaten the month. A job change didn't feel like a free fall. That's where the myth was born. And then the world moved on. Housing didn't pause. Healthcare didn't slow down. Insurance, tuition, childcare, transportation, none of them waited for wages to catch up. But the number stayed, culturally frozen, passed down like old advice that no longer applies. So we kept chasing it, believing it still unlocked the same life. But look at the contrast now. Then, a mortgage, not rent. Now, bidding wars and renewals. Then, one-payment car ownership. Now, loans stretched thin. Then, savings by default. Now, anxiety by design. Nothing extravagant, nothing irresponsible, just pressure layered on pressure. The problem isn't that $100,000 was a lie. It did what it was supposed to do. The problem is time. The number didn't fail. It just stopped meaning what we were promised. And when you hit it today, you don't feel secure. You feel exposed, like you arrived late to a party that already ended, because the milestone stayed the same, while the cost of living quietly rewrote the rules. Real-world math. Morning light, coffee cooling on the counter, a laptop open before work. This is the part everyone avoids. Not because it's dramatic, because it's boring, because it's honest. $100,000 a year doesn't arrive as $100,000. Taxes take their cut first. Federal, state, payroll. What hits your account feels closer to 65. That's the money that has to live. Housing goes first, not luxury, not excess, just something close enough to work to survive the commute. Rent eats a third before you even unpack. Transportation follows. A normal car, a normal loan. Insurance that quietly climbs every year. Gas that doesn't ask permission. Health insurance comes straight from the check, but copays still show up uninvited. Prescriptions, appointments, one bad month away from damage. Groceries aren't fancy. No steaks, no organic splurges, still higher than you expect every single week. Then the quiet obligations, phone, internet, utilities, subscriptions you meant to cancel but didn't. What's left isn't freedom, it's leftover. You save a little because you're responsible, because you know better, but the savings don't feel like progress. They feel like defense. There's no chaos here, no reckless spending, no luxury leaking through the cracks. And still, there's no margin, no real slack, No sense that life could hit hard and not leave a mark. Nothing here is irresponsible. Nothing here is indulgent. And that's the problem, because when the math is this tight at 6 figures, it stops being about choices. At some point, the problem stops being money, and you don't notice when it happens. The psychology, why it feels worse. The paycheck gets bigger, but the relief never arrives. Instead, something else takes its place. Pressure, because earning more doesn't remove fear. It upgrades it. When you made less, the worry was obvious. Rent, groceries, gas, survival-level math. Now the fear is quieter, sharper, more humiliating. You're not afraid of being broke. You're afraid of falling. Every raise comes with a silent contract, new expectations, higher fixed costs, a life calibrated to a number you're not allowed to lose. So you live carefully, not cheaply. Carefully. You don't feel rich. You feel monitored. You stop thinking, can I afford this? And start thinking, what happens if I can't anymore? Because there's more to protect now. More lifestyle, more obligations disguised as progress, the apartment you can't easily leave, the car payment that assumes steady income, the health plan that only works if you stay employed. None of it feels luxurious, but all of it feels permanent. So you keep running, not toward more, away from less. That's the treadmill nobody warns you about. It doesn't start fast. It speeds up slowly, politely, until standing still feels dangerous. You're not chasing success. You're maintaining altitude. Every decision is filtered through one thought. Don't mess this up. Don't miss a payment. Don't lose momentum. Don't slip backwards. Even wins feel fragile. Even stability feels rented. You tell yourself this is normal, that this is just adulthood, that everyone feels this way. But late at night, when the noise drops, you notice something unsettling. You're making more money than ever, and you've never felt more replaceable, because the higher you climb without margin, the further there is to fall. And deep down, you know it. You're not tired from working hard. You're tired from holding everything together. That's why it feels worse. Not because you failed, but because the system taught you that comfort is conditional and peace is something you earn month to month. You're not chasing more. You're running from falling back. Resolution, the illusion. The moment of clarity doesn't arrive loudly. There's no breakdown, no dramatic exit. It shows up quietly, like a sentence you can't unsee. $100,000 was supposed to buy control, but control never came because income didn't give you options. It gave you obligations. That's the illusion. Earning well feels powerful on paper until you realize how little of it you actually command. Your job decides where you live. Your benefits decide when you can leave. Your fixed costs decide how brave you're allowed to be. You're not poor, but you're not free. And that distinction matters more than anyone tells you. Freedom isn't about what you earn. It's about what's left over when life goes wrong, when the job disappears, when the market shifts, when something breaks at the worst possible time. That's margin. Margin is the space between your life and your income, the buffer that lets you breathe without permission, the distance between inconvenience and disaster. And here's the part that stings. Most people chase higher salaries, thinking peace scales with pay. It doesn't. You can double your income and still feel trapped if every dollar is already spoken for. Calm doesn't come from earning more. It comes from needing less of what you earn, from flexibility, from optionality, from knowing you could walk away if you had to. That's why the goal quietly shifts whether you name it or not. Not a bigger number, a wider margin, fewer fixed costs, more time, more room for error. Because the real luxury isn't a nicer apartment or a newer car. It's the ability to say no, to pause, to absorb a hit without panic. $100,000 isn't freedom. It's just a number the world learned how to drain. Freedom is what's left when life stops cooperating and you don't have to beg your future self for forgiveness. So maybe the question isn't, why does $100,000 feel broke? Maybe the question is why we were taught to chase income instead of control. And once you see that, the illusion loses its grip. That's where the real conversation starts.